Let's cross now to Johannesburg, where metal workers union Numsa has begun its national strike. Over 430,000 workers expected to down tools today. Heidi Giokos is on the ground for us. Heidi, earlier you were saying you hadn't seen numbers this big in a strike before. Have those numbers continued to increase?
Yes, certainly. They've definitely continued to increase. We're seeing more and more people coming through as Numsa members head over to hand over their demands to the bargaining council. But we are joined by the spokesperson of Numsa, Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. Thanks so much, Phakamile, for your time. Just speak to us about what your demands are and why you have gathered here today and across 5 provinces.
Yes, this is a national strike. Numsa has called for a national strike in the engineering sector. And the reason for this is because we've deadlocked with employers in the Metals and Engineering and Industries Bargaining Council. All employers. And all our members are fed up with the fact that the employers in the MEIBC are refusing to give us a meaningful increase. We are demanding an 8% increase across the board for the first year, as well as CPI plus 2% for the second and third year. They are offering 4.4% for the first year, as well as CPI plus 1% for the second year, and CPI plus 0.5% for the third year. Now, for our members, this is completely unacceptable. You must understand that these are workers, many of which are earning less than 49 Rand per hour. The minimum rate in engineering is 49 Rand per hour. You're lucky if you earn that. Most of these employers aren't even paying the minimum rate. So if you offer workers 4.4%, what does that mean in the life of somebody who's earning 20 Rand per hour, which is where many of these workers are? And this is why they're so angry. Last year, they went without increases, and they did so to protect the sector. All we want is for employers to give back to workers. That's it.
And speak to us about what your sentiments are around the fact that people are saying, those in the industry, the employees specifically, are saying that this strike will further cripple economic recovery and the sector.
That's very, I think the best way to put it, I think we can say that's rich coming from the employers. If they care so much about the economy, why don't they negotiate meaningfully with us? Numsa we have actually been negotiating since June. We have changed our position. We came in with 15% demand and a 1-year increase. We changed from that to 8% and a 3-year proposal to try and meet the employers. They only offered 4%, and what I've described to you. They've not permeated, they've not changed, they've not shifted. And for them to now turn around and put the blame on us is frankly reckless and irresponsible. They had an opportunity to engage us meaningfully. Members sacrificed increases last year for the benefit of the sector. And I think we must also remember that nobody has suffered through COVID like workers and their families. I mean, that's an objective fact. So if these people care at all about the economy, they must come back to the table. They must put something meaningful on the table so that workers can return to work. But until they do so, this is an indefinite shutdown of the engineering sector.
And this is what I want to ask next. What happens? You give your demands, you head over to the bargaining council. What happens after that? How long can we expect this strike to go on?
We will strike until our demands are met. We are going today to march and hand over the demands, and this is not the only march happening in the country. There's a march in Durban headed to City Hall in KZN. There's a march in Northern Cape. There's a march in Gqeberha in PE, and there's 2 rallies taking place in the Western Cape. So in 5 provinces where Numsa is organized in engineering, activities are happening. In between now and until demands are met, members will be picketing at their workplaces, but there will be no production.
Great, thanks so much, Phakamile. We appreciate that. I think that's an important point to highlight, the fact that there is no production until their demands are met. And I've actually spoken to some people in the sector just a short while ago who told us that they cannot trade today because of this protected strike that's happening, where possibly over 430,000 workers in the steel and engineering sector have opted to not go to work as they are on strike at the moment.
Well, Heidi, we've heard Numsa's position. That's very clear. Have we heard anything from the employer bodies today?
We are reaching out to the employers. employer to figure out what the situation is. But we do understand that many of the companies have tried to come up with contingency plans to ease what is going on in the sector. Because if you just look around me, you can see that hundreds and thousands of workers have opted to stay away from work today to be part of this protected strike. So, of course, we are going to have to wait and see what kind of impact this is going to have on trading today and many, many businesses across the country because of this protected strike. But we will be getting further clarity at a later stage and reaching out to the employers as to what this impact is and whether or not they're going to budge for that 8% salary increase.
All right, Heidi, well, we'll catch up with you later and hopefully you'll have more for us. Heidi Giokos out in Johannesburg, where Numsa began its national strike today. Over 430,000 workers downing tools, and they've said there's no production until their demands are met. Still ahead.